This is Gary at A3 Auto and Restoration. Just wanted to come to you and just kind of give you an informal video on how our process works and a little bit about faith, all tied into one. So most everybody knows that we're a Christian-based company. So that being said, we try to save these cars their life like Christ saves us. So the process is very simple. Most people, they find a car they like. Not everybody out there likes this particular car. Multiple reasons, being four-door, kind of car it is, Chevrolet Ford, back and forth. You know, some people don't like the old school car. They might get something a little newer in restoration. And when they find it, they kind of fall in love with it. So they need somebody to fix it. So they find somebody like us that can do the work to fix that. Just like, you know, Christ found us. He came looking for us, and when he found us, we was in the condition of this car. And I'm using an analogy of the car versus salvation, but we was pretty much like this, and maybe even worse. Sometimes people are as bad as this, and sometimes people are not as bad as this, but still have a lot of imperfections, but we're all still a sinner. So in this car right here, people has abused this car, and they have left this car out in the weather. They have just left it to die. So a special individual will come by and purchase this car because of the kind of car it is, because of the make and model, and they've had an eye on a car like this, so they come by and they want it. So they buy this car. They purchase this with a price. So they work and they get money, and they come and purchase this car with the price, just like Christ purchased us on the cross of Calvary with a price for our salvation. So this is the process of our business. So we'll take this car, and if you will, we will kind of be the individual's savior to fix their car, like the Savior, God in heaven, fixed us. And we're a work in progress. And I'm gonna take you through the whole scenario of start to finish, from us just being in the world and being nasty and being like this, to getting this restored, getting that classic and getting it restored back to its former glory. We would definitely, we're gonna go through the whole transition, and we're gonna take different avenues, and I'm gonna show you kind of what we're talking about. Now, as I was saying, you know, an individual will buy a car and they bring it to us because they don't know what to do with it. And the world looks at that car like, oh, that's just, you know, a nasty car. We don't know why you're messing with that. And that's cool. That's exactly the way Christianity is portrayed too. A lot of people are like, oh, they're nasty people, whatever. We're all sinners. So at this point, when these people do purchase this car, they'll bring it here. And just like we do, we sandblast it, and we get the outer nastiness off the car. We start working on trying to restore the car as its new heyday, and that's kind of what God does for us when we accept His Son, Jesus Christ, as our Savior. God starts renewing us internally. We accept Him. He actually technically sends us a sandblast, takes the old off, and we start with the new. He starts building and molding as the process goes. So we'll take that car that I showed you prior to it. It'll look like this. Go to sandblast, come back. It'll be completely sandblasted. The coating will be off of it, paint body, you know, it'll be all down. And then we have rust. We have rust, and we call that, in the body side, we call that cancer. And unfortunately, you know, people have issues in life the same way, and God works on us in multiple ways. So we start repairing these things, and the same thing. And this rust right here can be rust in this full board, but this rust in your life can be a death. This rust in your life can be money problems. This rust in your life can be drug addiction. This rust in your life can be a lot of things that the Savior will heal you from, will take from you. He may or may not clean it all up, but He is still Lord. He is still Savior. If I can't get all the rust out of here, it doesn't change the fact that I'm not a guy that builds restorations or that I don't do restoration work. It just means the fact that I choose to, how far I choose to go back to this to make it work. So that being said, and I'm doing a comparison of our life, and this is how our business platform in my career, when I got saved, I started looking at cars in a different manner. I started looking at cars like I was found in a field, dirty, nasty, rusty, and I had a vision for cars of all statures. And so a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have visions for any of that. But taking that consideration, when I got saved, I started looking at how God's worked in my life and how He has took some of the rust from me and some of the skill from me. I am not perfect, and we're never going to have full paint jobs, and we're never going to be all that until we go to heaven. And then it doesn't matter at that point. We are there, it's good, but we're a work in progress, just like these stages. But in this platform, this is the next step. We get sandblasted, and then we do this, and it's the performance of our life. So now, since I showed you the metalwork and how we go over, get it sandblasted, and then bring it in here and get the old world off of it, the old scale, the rust, and we find all this imperfection. Just like Christ does us, like I've been explaining, this is the next stage. So now you've been in church a little while. Now you've been in our business a little while. You've been here for your car. And so you've been in church a little while, and you're learning things. And as you're learning stuff, God starts fixing imperfections. So if you'll notice, the whole panel's not fixed. We're not going to put stuff in panels that don't need work, just the stuff that does need to work. So this area here doesn't need any kind of work at this point. This area doesn't need any work. But this area does. And so this area of your life here may not need work. You know, you may not have dabbled with sin in this area, but you may have here. So God starts repairing that part of your life. Once you accepted, you know, Christ as your Savior, you're walking with Him. And being in a good local Bible-believing church. But this is kind of how we do here. Once it leaves out of metalwork, it comes here. We fix the metalwork, the rust, the imperfections in that. We get over here, and then we start skimming it with fiberglass, and then it starts working with Bondo, and then we put primers on it, and it starts looking better and better and better. And as stages go, this bed's looking a lot better than it when it first come in. When it first come in, it looked just like that bed over there, or that cam over there. It had rust in it. It really looked bad. Had flash rust, all that on it. And so once we get to this point, you know, we just start chumping away at it, and then we start getting stuff fixed. And as you go over the whole bed, then there's little problems that get fixed. Then it'll be ready for primer, and that's exactly the way Christ does us. Now, some of our problems are getting resolved. Of course, we always have it to go back to, like if this is an addiction and God's fixed it, I can go get a screwdriver and dig this addiction right back out. I can go dig all this mud right back out. But the thing is, you want to leave it because this is a covering. This is what God's done for you. Same thing here. I don't want to dig this back out because we have damage under here. We had damage under here. We had a dent under here. We had to get this back smooth and straight so it looks good to the eye. And this is where testimony starts coming from. So the testimony of this is we sent it from what you've seen in the beginning in the field, and then you've seen it over here. Well, that's a testimony. You can attest that your car went from this point to that point to this point. So that's kind of how all that works hand in hand. Now I'm going to take you to the next stage, and then we're going to go to the final stage. So now, since we've left the metal side and doing the body work and putting the filler in, getting it filled up, getting some of them imperfections in, the stuff that you see in the world, that people see, that people can look at. Now you come and see a primer surface. Now, if you come and look at this, it would look like, hey, this has always been a prime, nice, pretty surface, okay? But under this, at one point in its life, there was damage. Perfect example about our faith and our Christianity. You've seen where the car came from. You've seen the other stage where we had, rust in it. Then you see where the metalwork was, where the Bondo and the fiberglass was applied. And now you see it where the primer was applied, okay? So now you're seeing a prettier structure, and this is a testimony. So people start seeing this in your life as Christ working in your life and doing things the same way in our builds. And this is our process to this point. I have a couple more to show you. Then now I want to draw your attention to this cab, okay? So now that we have left the field, we've got a little bit cleaned up. Come up here and got sandblasted, a little bit cleaned up. Go to metalwork, get a little Bondo work going on. It's looking good, looking a little better. Still got some rough edges. Go to our primer stage and get that primed. Now we're starting to look a little better. Then we come to the water sand stage. Everything's water sanded, everything's super smooth. It's getting ready for the final takeoff, if you will, of the paint job. So now when the paint's laid on this, it's going to be phenomenal. And so this is our stages, 1 through 3 or 4, depending on the severity of your build. Just like I said in life, this is where God will bring you to. And when you get to this point in your life, you have not made perfection, but we are almost home because God has worked on us in our life. And this is where we're at. And we'll start looking this good, and we'll start having that testimony. And other people will be attracted to this. Nobody's going to be attracted to what you've seen in the very beginning. People, they're not going to be drawn to a rust bucket in a field somewhere. It's a certain individual that will go get that vehicle and start from zero with that. So, just saying, and in other words, like I said in the beginning, Christ, that's where he found us. And so, in that field, rotting away, and this is what he's brought us to. This is a testimony for your life. Same way with our business platform. That's how we work our business. So this is what you end up with right before paint. And after we go to paint, then it's beautified, okay? I'm going to classify the paint at going to heaven because that's going to be the end of the road. And we can paint one and show you the paint process, and we have other videos to show you that. But at that point, that is the end of the road. At the end of the road, we are in heaven. But these are our stages. So if you need anything from A3, come down and see us. We're here to help you with any needs you have. Like and subscribe to the button below, and we'll have some further videos. Thank you.